YA nerds, it's another episode of Reading Rue. I'm Rue here, talking to you today about Seraphina by Rachel Hartman. I know we covered another Seraphina book, but this one is about dragons, so very, very different. It's even spelled differently. The other book spelled it with an F, this one spells it with a PH, so lots of differences today. So this book is 499 pages, and it was published July 1st, 2012. So it's one of our older books that we're covering so far, and I just want to talk to you guys about it. So the plot for this we got off of Goodreads. I think it's the same on the inside jacket cover of the book. Truthfully, I listened to this one, so a little bit different to talk about, but here we go. 4 decades of peace have done little to ease the mistrust between humans and dragons in the kingdom of Gored. Folding themselves into human shape, dragons attend court as ambassadors and lend their rational mathematical minds to universities as scholars and teachers. As the treaty's anniversary draws near, however, tensions are high. Seraphina Dumby has reason to fear both sides. An unusually gifted musician, she joins the court as a member of the royal family is murdered in suspiciously draconian fashion. Seraphina is drawn into the investigation, partnering with the captain of the Queen's Guard, the dangerously perceptive Prince Lucian Kiggs. While they begin to uncover hints of a sinister plot to destroy the peace, Seraphina struggles to protect her own secret, the secret behind her musical gift, one so terrible that its discovery could mean her very life. So again, I listened to this one as an audiobook, which is the only reason I know how to pronounce any of the characters' names. For my review, truthfully, I listened to this book again as opposed to reading it. My life has become so full of many things to do that I don't have time to do anything, and I drive really long distance now, not just to school but also to work, so it just made more sense to listen to the audiobook. This book was the perfect book to pick to like start doing audiobooks for like a long time. The person reading the book is not the author, which maybe Rachel Hartman would have done a good job reading it too, but I find that sometimes the authors, they just don't put the same kind of like character behind the characters, as opposed to like actors who like act out the book. So this audiobook was acted out by a woman named Mandy Williams, and oh my god, Mandy, I love you, you're amazing. She does voices for all the characters, she has different inflections for everything, she even attempts like a couple of like accents depending on where the characters are from, and it really like made me excited to be in the car, which is saying something. People who drive long distances all the time hate it. And I found myself like actually like getting home from driving all over God's green earth and then just sitting there like, what's gonna happen next? She made it so interesting. I think honestly I'm ruined for many other audiobooks out there unless they are also read in the same kind of tone or the same kind of way. You know, that being said, the story completely dragged me under, like overtook my entire life. I felt like I had been spun in this beautiful like web of prose, and I really never wanted to leave that space. So I'm actually really excited. I also finished the second book while listening to it in the car. I was gonna wait until after I did this review so that I wouldn't be tainted by the end of the series, but I will say the series is only 2 books. They're both over 500 people. This one's almost 500, the other one's over 500 pages, so it's like 1,000 pages, 2 books, really great to read through. I was so happy with the ending, not just of the first book, but with the second book, because even with the ending of the first book, I could have just put that one down and not continued the second book, but because I knew there was a second book, I did it anyway. And now there's a companion novel that just came out called Tess of the Road. I'm probably gonna read that one too. I have it sitting on my book pile behind me that you guys can't see because it's really bad, and no, you shouldn't see that huge pile. You got a pile there, I got a pile there, I got a pile there. I got a pile everywhere. So it's on there. It's definitely gonna, I'm gonna get to that one next. I'm gonna finish like 2 or 3 other books and then that's the next one. You know, I think the best part about this book was the world that Rachel Hartman built. The dragons are so interesting. The fact that she has them transform from these huge monsters into human size. And, you know, they all function on logic, and emotion is a sin, and it's so interesting. I really was excited to learn more about this world. I'm really happy that there's another book out and that I got to read these 2 other books. And I'm a little sad that with Test of the Road, I'm not going to be listening to Mandy again. And even in the audiobook I'm listening to right now, I'm not listening to Mandy. If she read every audiobook that ever existed, I think I would be so happy. So there's a couple of tropes with this book. As you guys may know if you've watched any of these episodes before, I curated this list from a couple of things online, as well as conversations with other librarians, as well as like my own knowledge as a YA nerd. So it's a list of like 37 tropes that I kind of assign to books depending on how I feel, what I think. If you guys notice that a trope I use in another episode applies to this book, let me know, I'll add it on. But for now, these are the tropes. If you want to know what any of them mean, I usually put the descriptions down below, so you'll see them there. So we have love triangles, strong/smart female protag, broken family units, beautiful first lines, youths in danger, clueless adults, beauty blind, Undiscovered Powers, Romeo and Juliet, and Buried Memories. For my rating of this book, I'm gonna give it an 11 out of 10. Would listen to Mandy read anything again. I actually already got to. I'm seriously, like, I'm gonna look up all the stuff that she's done, and you guys might want to do the same thing if you listen to this book. Even if you read the book, read it too. It's so good. So 11 out of 10. Mostly for the audiobook, sorry, but also because it was really good. So for my favorite parts, again, we're trying to like make these episodes shorter somehow, so I'm not reading from the books anymore, but I will say, no spoilers or anything, there's this part where Seraphina talks about the inside of her mind, and it's the first time we're introduced to the inside of her mind, and within it there are 16, 17 grotesques. So there are these people who are inside of her head that she acquires from having visions. It's really interesting. And she kind of makes this garden for them that keeps them contained and placid and like docile, I would say. And so they all have something scary with them or something different about them. You learn about it all later, so I can't tell you what it is exactly. It's important. And she basically every night she tends her garden. She walks into the garden, she visits all of her grotesques. If she doesn't do that, she could suffer from like, it's essentially like a seizure. She has like a fit and she falls down in the street and it's not good. So the first time we're introduced to her garden, I think it was one of those moments that I'd come home and I was sitting in the car like, what is this? It's a very beautifully written part of the story, and it sheds a lot of light on Seraphina, and I can't remember if it happens before or after we find out what exactly she is. Again, you gotta read it, you'll find out. But I think I remember listening to it and being like, aha! So that's my favorite part. I'm pretty sure it's like chapter 3 or 4, really early on in the book. And then, you know, later on a lot of other cool things happen too. My favorite character has to be her uncle Olma. I adore him. Again, you'll find out more about him. You gotta read it. Go read it. It's so good. Age range for this one, I can actually say 14, 15, 16 plus. Not really a lot of like bad things happening. There's some violence, if you want to be aware of that. There's some violence. There might be some blood in there at some point. I think someone gets murdered. There's an attempted murder. There's poisonings. But other than that, there's no sexual situations. I'm pretty sure there's no cursing, aside from like the odd B word, maybe. But there's really no profane language. They actually have a really cool belief system in this world, and they curse using the saints' names. There's like a bunch of saints. It's cool. So like one woman's like, oh, Blue Saint Prue, and that's like her. Like, oh my god! So it's really tame in that department. Still really good. 14, 15, 16 plus would be great. Again, I'm much older than that and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Seraphina and Shadow Girl. And I think anyone who like really likes fantasy YA would really be into it and should totally pick it up. It's also told in first person. I forgot to mention that, but there you go. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this one. Again, tune in again in a week and a half, 2 weeks. I update every other Thursday. Subscribe if you don't want to just keep tracking this manually. Who wants to do that? Just subscribe, hit the button, just do it. And I guess you'll see me around. So long, YA nerds.